Tonight, potential evidence that what's happening in Iran may have a direct impact right here at home. Early Sunday morning, the ominous sound of gunfire as a nightmare unfolds outside of an Austin, Texas nightclub.
As early Sunday morning, March 1st, 2026, when one of the busiest nightlife districts in Austin erupted into terror. West 6th Street, known for its bars, music, laughter, and crowds of college students and young professionals, was crowded with people enjoying a warm spring night near closing time. But just before 2 a.m., that routine night turned into a nightmare. The shooting begins according to police. A man in an SUV drove slowly past Buford's backyard beer garden, a popular beer garden filled with patrons, several times.
The shooting began shortly before 2 a.m. Sunday around Buford's Beer Garden on 6th Street, located on a popular strip in downtown Austin.
Then, without warning, he raised a firearm and began shooting. At first, he fired from inside the vehicle, aiming at people standing on the patio and others nearby.
A man in an SUV using a pistol to randomly fire at people outside the club just before 2 a.m. In seconds, the suspect seen here out on the street, now with a rifle, firing away.
Witnesses described screams and people diving for cover as bullets cracked in the early morning darkness.
I heard about a dozen, probably a few dozen shots ring out. Couldn't really even pinpoint where they were coming from. And honestly, we couldn't even comprehend that they were shots. There were probably 15, 20 people in this food truck, and no one was panicking, screaming, and running. People thought maybe it's fireworks or maybe it's like a motorcycle.
Oh my God! Fuck!
After firing from the SUV, the suspect stopped the vehicle, stepped out, and continued shooting with a rifle at people walking along West 6th Street. Police response and end of attack. Because this part of downtown typically has a strong police presence on weekend nights, officers were already nearby when the shooting began. Within about a minute of the first emergency call, officers confronted the gunman and returned fire. The suspect was shot and killed at the scene.
Video shows people taking cover inside a bar as a gunman fired shots toward them from the window of an SUV. Then, police said he parked and got out with a rifle and started firing again. Within less than a minute, 3 police officers patrolling the busy entertainment district shot and killed the gunman. Paramedics immediately started trying to save the lives of the 19 people shot. 2 of them died. 3 more were in critical condition.
Casualties and victims. When all was said and done, 3 people were killed, including the shooter himself. 14 others were wounded and taken to area hospitals. Of those injured, 3 were in critical condition early Sunday morning.
In the end, more than a dozen wounded. A witness capturing video of some victims being helped by emergency personnel. 3 of those victims transported to local hospitals in critical condition. 2 dying at the scene. The gunman shot dead by police, ending the vicious assault.
At the time of reporting, authorities had not yet publicly released the names of the victims and details about their identities, whether students, workers, or visitors, were still emerging. Who was the shooter? Hours after the attack, law enforcement identified the suspected gunman as 53-year-old Ndiaga Diagne. Diagne was a naturalized U.S. citizen living in Pflugerville, Texas, a suburb of Austin. He was originally from Senegal and had first come to the United States in 2000 on a tourist visa.
Sources identified the shooter to CBS News as Ndiaga Diagne, a naturalized U.S. citizen originally from Senegal.
There were indicators that on the subject and in his vehicle that indicate potential nexus to terrorism.
He later became a lawful permanent resident and then a U.S. citizen in 2013. Witnesses and authorities noted that during the shooting, the suspect was wearing clothing with Islamic references, including a shirt that read, "Property of Allah," and apparel with the Iranian flag. Officials also reportedly found other items in his vehicle and at his home that could indicate possible motivations, including religious material, but investigators are still working to confirm any motive. Investigation and FBI involvement. The Federal Bureau of Investigation quickly joined the case because of those potential indicators. FBI agents activated the Joint Terrorism Task Force to help determine whether this was an act of terrorism or a standalone violent incident. Federal officials have stressed that it is too early to draw final conclusions about motive, saying investigators are still examining digital evidence, personal items, and other clues from the suspect's life. One FBI official said multiple indicators were found that justified the terrorism inquiry, but did not detail what those were.
There were indicators that on the subject and in his vehicle that indicate potential nexus to terrorism.
Law enforcement sources say this image obtained by Fox News is the suspect, dressed in a hooded sweatshirt bearing the words, "Property of Allah."
Political and social context. The shooting came at a tense moment globally. Just a day earlier, the United States and Israel had launched a joint military operation against Iran, a development that drew intense media attention and criticism around the world.
The deadly rampage coming hours after the U.S. attack on Iran, the killing of its supreme leader became the biggest story in the world. And tonight, the FBI investigating whether the shooter might have been motivated by those headlines.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott condemned the attack and emphasized that the state would not tolerate violence or threats tied to foreign wars. The White House also confirmed that President Donald Trump had been briefed on the incident. Community reaction. By midday Sunday, the normally bustling West 6th Street was silent. Police tape blocked off large stretches of sidewalk. Investigators combed for evidence. Nearby bars were closed early. Patrons huddled together, shaken, some visibly upset. Leaders in University of Texas at Austin, located only a few miles from the scene, expressed grief that students and community members were among the victims. "It's a community tragedy," city officials said. Human impact. In downtown Austin, a night that should have been filled with music, laughter, and companionship ended with sirens, hospital beds, and unanswered questions. For the families of the victims, the pain has just begun. For the city, the scars will last. And for the nation, yet another violent incident raises urgent questions about public safety, motives, and the world we now live in.